Hey, everybody, welcome back to the official Celebrity Boxing Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Bruce, alongside my main man, the founder, and the reason why we're all here, Damon Feldman.
What's up, guys?
Man, I'm excited. You ready for another great episode?
I'm so excited.
We have an incredible guest on the show today.
Yeah.
She's the first lady of boxing. She's really overcome a lot of obstacles, I'm sure, in her career, which we're going to talk about, which is in a lot of ways what celebrity boxing is all about, right? It's like overcoming, getting up.
I feel like she's part of celebrity boxing now, and she's also the reason for the movie, Meg Ryan movie, Against the Ropes. We're going to learn a lot about her.
Yeah,
today.
So let's get into it. From just an amazing past, and especially in the world and the sport of boxing and beyond. But Jackie Kallen, thanks so much for coming on and talking to us today. We're honored just to have you on the show. How you feeling?
I'm great, and I'm so happy to be here. Damon is one of my favorite people in my life. He's wonderful. I admire what he's doing. Celebrity boxing is just so much fun, and he's put a new light on the sport of boxing. It's a different way to look at it. I mean, boxing is boxing, and everybody loves the sport. It's been around for hundreds of years. But to see people that aren't traditionally boxers getting in the ring, it's just so much fun. I mean, I think it's been a terrific journey that he's been on, and I've been proud to be even a little part of it.
Well, you are.
You've been a big part of boxing overall, and obviously, getting involved with the celebrity boxing world as well. It's true though, right? It's a really cool opportunity for people to get a taste of the sport that obviously you love and so many do in a way that's really unique. To get in the ring, to actually train and to put in the work, and then to go forward with a fight is life-changing for a lot of people, I think.
Well, without a doubt, too. But Jackie is I'm really excited because I've known her for a while, but we never did a show like this together. She's been part of celebrity boxing announcing. We always talk about different things, but I met her, I guess, almost 29 years ago when James Toney fought Dave Tiberi.
Wow.
And I was like, damn, man, that's Jackie Kallen. When I was up becoming young fighter, and she was the talk of boxing because she was the first lady of boxing. And just have her here right now is amazing.
Well, you were fanboying back then, and you're fanboying a little bit right now.
Yeah,
There's
I love her.
mutual respect here, obviously.
Yeah.
You guys enjoy each other.
Oh yeah, we
love.
go back a long way. And I was managing James Toney, who was middleweight champ at the time, and we fought Dave Tiberi, who everyone knows fought an amazing fight. And I think a lot of people that were there, especially his fans, believe that he won that fight. And it was a very controversial fight. As a matter of fact, that fight went on to spur an investigation, a federal investigation. John McCain and some other legislators decided to look into boxing because of that decision. And it actually ended up, to me, that was what started and spawned the Muhammad Ali Act, based on the fact that they felt that was, not the right fair outcome of that fight. So it did change boxing in a way because they started to look more carefully at promoters and managers could not be the same. And they started delving into the sport in general and trying to clean it up.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, you look at that, and of course for Dave Tiberi, who, we know well as, Wilmington guy, Delaware guy, which is where we're actually shooting this right here, is what a life-changing moment for him to have that decision go the way it did. And if he had won that fight, can just imagine what that would have done for his career. I mean, very, incredible fighter, obviously, to be on that stage in the first place, taking on, your guy. I mean, lights out Tony. He's a legend, right? He's amazing and was at the top of the game. And for that decision to go the way it did, and for the kind of the controversy to surround it, it's very telling. I mean, just the fact that the federal investigation happened and people looked at that because of the nature of that decision is really amazing. You were in the middle of it all, though, right? And you were in the middle of a lot of things it related to boxing.
I had nothing to do with the decision. I managed one fighter. That was about the extent of it. But a lot of people thought the fight was fixed, that I paid the judges off. I mean, there was all kinds of accusations at the time, and they were all proven to be, false. I had nothing to do with the decision. That's just the way the judges saw the fight that night. And I have to say, Dave Tiberi is such a fine man. And he was, even at that time, he was such a gentleman about everything. He went on and wrote a book and quit boxing after that. I don't think he had anything more to prove at that point. And he's just a wonderful guy, and his whole family is terrific people.
So with that, then let's focus back on you though, because I mean that what an amazing thing, historic in a lot of ways. But so was your career. I mean, you really overcame and had to, I'm sure, pave a lot of trails that weren't there before because of the nature of being a woman in that sport, which was clearly male dominated. Talk a little bit about that.
It was very strange at the very beginning because I was a journalist. My background is journalism, and I was an entertainment writer. I covered the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys. I used to interview all different celebrities from TV, film, music, sports, but I wasn't basically a sports writer. And I got sent on an assignment. They were short of a sports writer, and they asked me to cover this young fighter out of Detroit, Tommy Hearns, who was just turning pro. And I didn't know that much about boxing. I'd never really been to a live boxing match. I went and was just captivated by the sport. I just loved it. I know there was something about it was like a violent ballet or something. They were in there, and every move seemed so calculated. The counter punching, the way that the jab, I could see right away that was the key move. Everything kind of came off of that jab. And I was fascinated by the fact that a person like Tommy Hearns could be an animal in the ring. I mean, that guy was nasty. And then he'd get out, and I went to do the interview, and he was a soft-spoken, quiet little guy, skinny legs. I said, is that the same guy I just saw drop that guy in the first round? There was such a dichotomy, and I found ever since then that a lot of the boxers are the nicest guys you'd want to meet, but in the ring, you wouldn't recognize them. So I was fascinated by that, and I started to segue over to sports a little bit more than entertainment. And then I went to work for the Kronk Gym. Emmanuel Stewart hired me as publicist. I guess that was back in 1978. And I did that for 10 years. It's like a college education, 10 years. And then in 88 is when I decided I'd like to try my hand at managing. But by then I had already been around boxing long enough that people were sort of used to seeing a woman in the gym and at the fights, ringside. But at first it was an anomaly, and I wasn't treated very welcoming, that's for sure.
Yeah, but you took that to a whole nother level, especially how many world champions have you had?
Oh, I've worked with probably 6, 7, close, I think 6 or 7. I don't keep count anymore because there's always a new one coming along. I'm working with Mike Quan Williams now out of Connecticut, and he's had 20 fights and he's undefeated, and he's fighting on Showtime coming up. And I'm excited because it looks like he's going to be a world champion, and that will be another one to add to the mix. And there's something so, I can't even explain the word for it. There's something so exhilarating about taking a young fighter, turning him pro, and then building him all the way up to a world title, because it's very strategic. You have to make all the right moves. One wrong fight and the whole thing comes crumbling down. So you have to keep your fighter undefeated if you can, and you have to make all the right moves. And, there's a lot of men that have been managing for years that never have a world champion. So I've been very blessed, but I think some of it's luck and some of it's skill and, perseverance. I never give up, and having a thick skin. I never let it bother me what other people said, because I knew that I knew what I knew. And when people thought I was a bimbo, because when you're blonde and young, that's the tag you get. And so nobody thought I knew anything about boxing at the beginning. So I was always having to prove myself to the guys. And it took a while, but eventually I got their respect. And now it's been, 45 years. So I think now I'm pretty set.
Now, do you feel you have given the opportunity to other women? Even you see like Amanda Serrano now, she's the top undisputed female champion.
It's so interesting because back in 1997, I was the commissioner for the IFBA, which is female boxing. It was a commission. And it was my idea to start testing for pregnancy, make sure that the girls weren't early in their first try. Didn't realize they were pregnant. They could have gotten hit in the stomach or done anything that could have caused them to miscarry. And I felt that there was so much to be gained by women getting into the sport, not just from the PR standpoint or as a boxing writer, which I've done. I've managed, I've promoted shows, I've judged, I've tried all different aspects of the sport. But the women that actually get in the ring and fight, I have nothing but respect for them. I've worked with several of them. I managed Riley, Yvonne Trevino, Janine Garside, Daisy Lang, and they're all amazing athletes. I mean, Damon knows we've worked with girls that have fought in celebrity boxing, and these girls train just as hard as the guys. They get up and they run, they spar, they do everything the guys do, and they're finally getting their respect. Lighting Madison Square Garden, that's amazing for women. So I'm really proud of how far women have come on all sides of boxing, in the ring and out of the ring. Because back when I started, I was the Lone Ranger there. I didn't even have another woman to go to and talk about it because there was nobody else in the sport that was female. So things have changed a lot in 45 years. Thank you.
Now, it also gave you the opportunity to have the Meg Ryan movie Against the Ropes made about your life. Can you tell us about that?
The movie with, how that all came about was I didn't go to Hollywood and say, let's do a movie. I didn't have a script. I hadn't written a book. It, it was just kind of a fluke. There was an article about me in the Wall Street Journal and another one in the New York Times. And a producer saw that and said, wow, this is interesting. This could be a movie. So they brought me out to Hollywood and we went to different studios. It ended up that Paramount Studios bought the rights to the story and then completely changed it. When it came time to do the movie, um, I had been a married woman with 2 children who was juggling my home life with my boxing life and all the craziness. And they turned my character into a single woman from Cleveland. So, I mean, the basics of the story got lost, but the idea of a woman entering into a male dominated sport and succeeding, that rang true. And, I think it inspired a lot of women to go out and try things that maybe weren't traditional roles for women. And you can do it if you want to. And if you're knowledgeable, you can do whatever you want. So the movie helped a lot as far as encouraging and motivating other women, which is really what it's all about. And so I was happy that way. I don't think Meg Ryan was probably the right choice, but that's who they picked. So I lived with it. And I'm just pleased that they thought enough about my story to make a movie.
But it was Jackie Kallen in the movie, right? It was Jackie Kallen. But what did it do for you after that movie was shot? It was out because it's not like Netflix was around at the time. All these others, it was the movie theater. You were the big story at the time on all the big shows. What has that movie? What that do for you with your career and life?
Well, when they did the movie, number one, there was a lot of publicity. I got to go on the Today Show, a lot of publicity that way. That led to me getting a role on The Contender with Stallone and Sugar Ray Leonard on NBC, which was a really great experience. I loved doing that. And it opened the door to a lot of motivational speaking dates. And I've been doing that ever since. I go around to different women's groups. I go around to, anybody that wants, sometimes it's a corporation that just wants somebody to motivate their employees to get out there and go against the odds, be a fish out of water, whatever, and just get the job done. And I love motivational speaking. It's really, for me, it's probably one of the most satisfying things that I do because you get the immediate feedback and their questions, and they come up to you afterwards with their stories. And so I love doing that. Now I'm involved with Striking Beauties Boxing Gyms for Women, which a lady named Dina Paulino started in the Boston area in Providence, Rhode Island. And she's got a couple gyms there. And now she brought me on board and we're going to expand and open up in some other cities and then eventually franchise. So that's a great challenge too, because the whole concept of women having a gym that they can go to that's specifically run by women with women trainers, women can learn to box amongst each other without any kind of pressures and insecurities about being with the guys. It's a comfort zone for them. So I'm excited about doing that as well. And I have another book coming out, so that's good. And I just stay busy. Damon knows I love getting involved anytime I can with celebrity boxing because that's a pure joy. Just to see these people, like we said at the beginning, to see someone who's not traditionally a boxer get in there and fight and take punches that they've never had to take before, and to see them open up on someone else, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy celebrity boxing so much.
Well, it's all about the fitness. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to happen in that ring, too, which is what makes it exciting because it's not like these aren't traditionally trained fighters. You really don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And I don't even think they know what's going to happen, which is even more fun. And you talked about a lot of really cool things. You were talking about how boxing was like a physical or a violent ballet. I mean, what a visual that is. I could imagine that you getting through your career in a lot of ways is a dance in itself, right? And as a woman paving the way, now you're creating opportunities to make it, like you said, more comfortable, for women to be able to like kind of vibe together and to work with each other. But you didn't have any of that when you started, right? You were having to figure it out. You were that fish out of water, and you had to decide, well, do I find a way to get back into the water, or do I just learn how to breathe? So tell us a little bit about for you to have had to have paved that path and to have done it in a time where there wasn't anybody like you already doing it. That had to be so much more challenging. So I'd love to learn how you kind of worked your way through it.
It was interesting because at the very beginning, people thought that I was the front, that there was a guy behind me like my husband, or I was hired as a gimmick. Like, let's pretend she's the manager, but there's really a guy. So they were always asking me, who's the real manager? And he really thought it was me. So at first I had to establish the fact that I really was the manager. So initially they never let me in the locker rooms. They would say no women in the locker room. They never let me get in the ring with my fighters. All the other managers would jump in after the fight and stuff. They never would let me get in the ring. They used to tell me, go put on a bikini and carry a ring card. That's what you should be doing in this sport. It was, at the beginning, it was difficult. There was a lot of sexual innuendos. Oh, is that your boyfriend? No, that's my fighter. Oh, well, why would you be managing this fighter if he's not your boyfriend, if you have no connection and your husband's not? They didn't understand why a woman would have any interest in being involved in a sport like boxing. They used to tell me to go take dance lessons or go manage a tennis player or whatever. It was hard at the beginning, but that's it. And I just said, I don't care what they say. I know as much about boxing as any man does. I know what I'm doing. I learned how to wrap hands. I learned how to stop cuts. I studied the sport with Emmanuel Stewart for 10 years before I managed my first fighter. A whole decade of going to fights in Vegas, writing press releases, holding press conferences, running the weigh-ins, doing press kits. I knew the business. And still, there was always the innuendo that fighter sleeping with the promoter, sleeping with the judges. Now, they never asked any male manager if he was doing it with any judges, but because I was female, there was always that sexual aspect to me being in the sport. They always put sex in the mix. And that's just the way it was. Now, I'm going to be 77 years old. So hopefully they're not assuming that these 20 fighters are my boyfriend. But initially, I was definitely underestimated and objectified too.
But you showed them, you showed the world who you were. Not even with the movie, just you kept doing your thing. That's why it was such an honor to have you on board with Celebrity Boxing and a personality. And we're gonna do a lot more together. I know that. And you're just like the perfect example of that a woman can do anything she wants and coming in a male-dominated sport and take over. It's crazy.
You know what it is, Damon? I just I just want to add something. For me, anyways, being a woman in a man's sport and with all the sexual innuendos and all of the gossip and all of that, I learned to just be true to yourself. I wouldn't have lasted 45 years if any of the things they were saying were accurate, if I was doing drugs, paying off creditors, any of things. It would have tarnished my reputation and it would have shown up eventually. But after 45 years, I think I've shown that you can be who you are and be strong enough to get through all of that. You know, I never changed my behavior. I never stopped wearing makeup and high heels and thought I would, you know, dumb myself down or plane myself down so that people would not assume that. I maintained my dignity and my composure at all times. And I didn't try to change to please anybody else. I didn't think that was the this, and I know what I'm doing, and I feel that women should not let men or anybody control you. Know who you are for sure, and be strong. Like I said, it comes with that thick skin, and it does hurt sometimes. You know, you'll hear people say something, and it's so untrue, and but you can't let it bother you. It can hurt you for a minute, like a little ding, little flea bite, and then you just let it bounce off and go about your business. Because how stupid would it be to let somebody's outside opinion derail you? And you're listening to somebody who doesn't even know you. I never let that bother me, and I'm grateful that I didn't because it's far otherwise.
Well, I have to ask you one question. I have to ask you a
Yeah.
question. Have you ever wanted just to knock one of these promoters out? Do you ever want to just punch them right in the face? I'm sorry, I have to ask you that.
I'm sure a few deserved it.
Do you ever, because
You know,
hearing you
is,
speak, I mean, you must have had that.
you want? Is
Yeah.
there like? Are you asking me if there's anybody I've ever wanted to really punch out for just their behavior, or if I've ever wanted to just get in the ring and just let off steam?
Maybe
Well,
both.
maybe
If you
both.
could get
Maybe
that
both.
person in the
Yeah, yeah.
ring,
I'll promote
maybe
you.
we'll do
No.
it, you know?
No, but do you ever, because I know
No,
how this business is, man. I've been there, you know what I mean?
I
And
did.
I've,
I used to manage a heavyweight named Bobby Hitz, who's now a promoter, and I remember 30 years ago or so, I was just so frustrated. I said, I just want to get in the ring with you and just let me hit you. Don't hit me back. I mean, he was a heavyweight. And I said, just let me hit you. And I put on the gloves and I was just having that kind of a day. And I had I was just hitting him with everything I had, which didn't even move him. And then I broke a nail through the glove. And I mean, all the way down to the quick. And I got out, took off the glove. My nail was bleeding. I never put gloves on again. But there was such a great feeling about that. And that's why occasionally I love to go to do that workout where you get to hit that bag for a half hour. It's a great feeling. I like the idea of being able to just let off your steam. And that's why I think these female boxing gyms are going to do so well. I think women need to let off steam, and it's a lot cheaper and better than antidepressants, so or liquor.
so I appreciate that. But so did you ever feel you just wanted to hit one person? I know you had
Well,
to.
she's about to hit you, Damon. I think, you know,
I
if
love
she can
Jackie.
reach
I have
through.
to ask this because I've gotten fights at weigh-ins, stuff like that. Just I guess I don't know, because of my fighter mentality, probably why I was suspended from boxing for like a couple of years. I don't know. It's just you, how sweet you are, and having that pressure, like, oh, the only female. Like I know, I can see it now. These people trying to act like someone's taking over you. I know you would have to want to just knock someone out.
You know, you're making me think back. You guys are making me think back to some of the fun times. Now I laugh at them, where promoters would tell me they'd put my guy on the card if I would do certain things for them. And I remember thinking, I mean, now there's a Me Too movement. Some of the stuff I went through probably would have qualified for sure. But at that time, I had to decide how to handle that stuff because if I kind of got indignant, I could ruin a relationship with a potential promoter that could use my fighter. Um, so I had to handle it real delicately. And I'm just thinking back to some funny times where I had to get myself out of some kind of difficult situations with a promoter coming in my room late at night in Atlantic City and banging on the door at 2 a.m. and just crazy things that male managers would never have had to deal with. And you're making me, it's been a long time, but you're making me think back to the beginning, and you wouldn't believe some of these. I mean, they were pretty crazy. And one of the best times was, I remember one of the guys dropped his towel in the locker room in front of a whole lot of people and just was standing there exposing himself and waiting to see what I would do if I was going to run out of there screaming. And, you know, and I had to treat it with humor and just say, I have 2 boys at home. I've seen Aaron, and of course that embarrassed him, and he kind of went back into the shower. But, you know, I found humor helped me a lot. I would laugh at things that other people might get indignant about. If somebody propositioned me, I would usually say, "Wow, that's the best offer I've had today," and I'm really flattered, that someone like you would be attracted to someone like. I mean, oh my gosh, that's awesome. But I have to go wash my hair, or I have to write a story, or excuse. But I would always treat it kind of lightheartedly. So I didn't want to shut someone down and make them feel bad. But it was interesting. You're bringing up a lot of old memories, and it's you're putting your finger right on what it was like, because it wasn't easy.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I did want to ask a question though. So, what words would you want to tell a woman in a position like you, if they're in a male-dominated sport or business? How you made it happen? What do you do? How do you move forward that way?
I think I pretty much covered it when I told you that just any woman that's in a man's sport, you have to be yourself. You have to always keep your guard up. But you have to know what you're talking about. I don't care if I was a ditch digger with a bunch of guys. I better be able to dig that ditch as well as they can. I better know the soils. I better understand the different shovels that you use for different kinds of dirt. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to learn everything about it, so be treated equally. I think it's important, whatever you do, to do it 100%. I just absolutely dove into boxing and learned everything. I studied old boxers. I watched tapes for hours, and I learned all the different aspects of what makes a style good for the next fighter, because styles make a fight. We all know that. The importance of a jab, the importance of an uppercut. I learned everything so that if you tested me, but I knew what I was talking about. So any woman that's going into any field, know what you're talking about, because you will get tested. And you have to work a little harder than the men to get the same place. It's just the way it is. And it hasn't changed that much in 45 years.
Well,
awesome
and Jackie, I'm just really excited to hear the story, and I'm glad that you didn't change for the sport, and that in a lot of ways the sport changed for you. And that is a pretty cool thing when you think about your legacy, looking back at the work you've done. That's really what's happened. You came in and you stayed true to yourself. You stuck to it. You were consistent. You kept showing up. You defied all the odds. And in a lot of ways, the sport of boxing had to adapt to you.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty cool.
100%. 100%.
Well, I hope it's helped the girls that have come along since.
Yeah, no question about it. And good luck with everything you have going on with the gyms. And it sounds like you have no trouble finding things to do and keeping yourself busy. You've been doing that for a long time and doing it well.
Hey, hold it.
Yeah.
I got to ask her a question.
Yeah, I have a blessed life, guys.
I have to. I know you do.
Oh, Damon has a question for you.
Oh, listen.
What?
I have to ask her a question.
Okay.
Another question. It's all you've been doing is asking her questions. You've never talked this much in your whole life.
You do this all the time. I have to ask you one question, Jackie. I know you're going to get mad at me if I ask this, but what female celebrity would you want to step in the ring with?
I thought you were going to propose.
I love Jackie.
What female celebrity would I have wanted to play me other than Meg Ryan?
No.
Yeah. Who would you? No. What female celebrity, other celebrity, because you're a celebrity, would you want to step in a ring with and box in celebrity boxing if you were?
Yeah, so if you were to get in the ring,
Who would you want to call
on?
out? Who would you want to take on? Can we say that? Come on, let it go,
Who would I
Jack.
want to fight?
Yes.
Yeah, who is it?
If I did a celebrity boxing match, I would want Meg Ryan. Just bring her on.
Oh,
Yeah, Meg,
let's
you messed
get
it up. Because you know what? You
Let's
weren't
do
the
it.
right choice, Meg Ryan. You were not the right choice. And we're going to settle it in the ring. And with that,
This is going on TMZ. I know it. I feel
so
it.
Meg Ryan, I'm sorry, but you did a lot of great things in your career. This apparently was not the right one. So, Jackie, who should have played you in that movie? Who was the right choice?
Well, here's the thing. Being a woman in a man's sport, I had to be resilient. I had to be clever. And here's Meg Ryan, America's sweetheart, Tom Hanks' girlfriend, all this. It just didn't seem like I'm not sweet. I'm not saying that I'm a bitch, but I'm not that cutesy little sweet person. I would have wanted at that time, like Sandra Bullock, who did The Blind Side, Sharon Stone, someone with some balls, someone with a little bit of an edge to them, because that would have been more appropriate. I think that it was hard to picture sweet little Meg Ryan as being in the situations I was in. But that's who they picked, and it's all history now. But if I ever had a celebrity boxing match, that's who I would like to punch out.
Jackie Kallen versus Meg Ryan.
Meg
Whoa,
Ryan,
let's get
Jackie
it.
Kallen. Let's put it on the card. Let's
Bring her on.
Oh, yes.
make it
Look at her.
happen. Well, Jackie, it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Whether we get you in the ring against Meg Ryan or not, we're definitely going to try. It's been a real pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you
Amazing
so much.
career.
And I can't wait till Damon's next shows. They're all fabulous. They're all fun. And he's doing a great job. And so are you on the questions. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, we're going to do more, and we love you.
We appreciate you. It's been a real pleasure. And again, good luck with everything you have going on. And for that, how do they find more about real quick before you go, where do they find more about those gyms you're talking about, the all-female gyms?
You can look online. It's called Striking Beauties Boxing Gyms for Women. And we're just about to launch our new website. And we're opening up 3 gyms this year, and we're really excited about it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And all I can say is it was great talking to you guys. You got me thinking about a lot of old memories. You brought back some laughs to me, and I really appreciate that. So it was a lot of fun.
Awesome having you.
Our pleasure. And Damon has no trouble stirring the pot. There's no question about it. So we'll get into it. But Jackie, thanks so much for coming on. And with that, that is another episode of the official Celebrity Boxing Podcast. Christopher Bruce, Damon Feldman. Jackie, thanks for coming on. We will see you guys next time.
Great.